So it's Not You by Dr. Ramani. I totally recommend reading this. If you are really big into understanding your life, identifying and healing from narcissistic people, this book is definitely for you. However, it isn't a book that includes a checklist or a bunch of resources to kind of get you stuck on how to navigate narcissistic people. This is a book to kind of validate how you probably have had some unanswered questions within your mind and to kind of give you that reassurance that it is not you. And you can claim yourself, rewrite your story, and live the life that you're designed to live according to what you want and what has already been written down and established in the book of life. So, chapter 4 is about understanding your backstory. And I loved the quote that she has a quote at the beginning of each chapter, but this one really hit home for me. It is by Zora Neale Hurston, and it says she had an inside and an outside, and suddenly she knew how not to mix them. And I mean, that's spot on. So, there was once a timeline of expected outcomes and stones that I would reach or obtain at pivotal ages in my life, and I let them go. The reason it was important for my health, my safety, and my ability to affirm action and to rewrite the false information that I was misled and fed to believe. These narcissistic relationships are loud. And when you grow up in a dysfunctional family, you notice that many of the people in your life are no longer good for you. I was losing wind explaining myself to others who won't, couldn't, or shouldn't understand. Healing cannot be contingent solely on addressing the abuser's behavior, only addressing our existing wounds to prevent future wounds. We all have risk factors at a different level. What makes me vulnerable may not make the next vulnerable. I have non negotiables on the procedures and the identity of my life because of what I have experienced. Whereas someone else may be okay with allowing someone to breach their information and take away their individuality from them. I'm not, because it almost left me for dead, breathless, moneyless, homeless, and without food. So I don't really like to use vulnerable in the context of relationships because there are so many different contexts that the definitive term of vulnerability that it could get used out of context. So I'm a really empathetic person. Being a rescuer is really something that has always just been an instinct of mine. I've had to learn in the most embarrassing, hard truth ways of fashion that fixing, short of condoning off the narcissistic person from every possible disappointment, doesn't work. Being forever forgiving, no place for forgiving in narcissistic relationships. You have to pretend to forgive and forget them. And it is possible to still have empathy. It is possible to still have a listening ear. It is possible to stay positive and optimistic. Um, However, it's just very important that you don't waste too much time doing so. If you have seen these people um not indicate even the slightest bit of remorse or concern about how their actions or their behaviors impact you directly, then you don't need to waste an ample amount of time trying to reconfigure their place in your life. It is possible, and there are others who don't have that adaptability. It's important to remove these people from your life because narcissistic people are only looking to find someone to engage in trauma bonding with them. The concept of unchangeability gradually sets in for someone that is trying to get from these relationships. And so for me, that unchangeability began to set in. And I came for a stop, and it happened like often. And that's where the work is never giving up on yourself. So no matter what, no matter how many people try to come in and out of your life and they're looking for that person to bond with over a common trauma, or trying to find, a friend in something that makes them feel secure, but is latching onto that trauma for you. When you come to that stop, like, oh, this feels familiar. Oh, they're trying to get me back to that dark place that I was. That's where the work is never giving up on yourself. A lot of these interactions and encounters with narcissists, they're distorted, they're fragmented. And throughout the chapters, you'll get a concept of different situations or scenarios that you've probably have inhibited with dealing with a narcissist. And it's just very awesome to kind of be able to pull out that information and dissect it and kind of see like, whoa, I have dealt with that before. Or if not that, um, for verbatim experience, something very similar to it. It is pretty much all you need, from wasting time and moving on from these individuals who've held too much space in your life. And your mind can only process so much information effectively. And narcissistic people hate when you find time for yourself to process the things that you need to work on for you, to process things that are going to enhance um, the overall engine, the unit of a family, or a friendship. They don't like anything like that. They don't like you having a mind of your own. They don't like you having a schedule. They don't like you having those non-negotiables. So um, it's really important to have your mindset made up, and really work actively to progress so that you don't have to, um, so that you already have those barriers created for when they start coming into your life again and trying to get you off track. So that's why it's essential to get narcissistic people out of your way, especially when you're trying to heal. Understanding healthy, complex elements, um, the nature of the past, present, and future doesn't happen all at once. It does take time. The biggest thing is a lot of people that end up in these narcissistic relationships as adults, they come from narcissistic families. And if it wasn't their family directly, like their nuclear family, their intimate family, it happens within their extended family. So big within the narcissistic family is they care about your appearance, how you look, um, pawning others off on each other. So, say if you have a cousin or a sibling, but sending them off somewhere if they don't feel like dealing with them. Um, Constant checking in, and they'll make it seem like they're concerned about your safety or your well-being, but really they're just prying. So please let me know when you go here, or please let me know when you leave here, and all that stuff. That's very common in a narcissistic family. Disrespecting each other, criticizing each other, talking behind each other's back, intolerance for something that they're passionate about, vocalizing sarcasm, being judgmental, dismissive, name calling, bullying. These are all mechanisms that happen within a narcissistic family. Instead of going to therapy to support each other, their way of supporting each other or doing therapy is providing constant stimulation or constant talking. And that is just not effective. It is like a tire or an engine. Sometimes a break is needed. And narcissistic, psychopathic people or families don't get that. So when they break down, they break down. The complexities of being the product and supply for family had me and still does in offering pleas to sovereign my identity. I work to get away from them to live as myself. So they also had a part in this book about rushed relationships, and I'm going to save that um, for the next video that I do. So know that it's not you, and keep doing your work, and I'll talk to you later.